So, welcome to tonight's call. Lisa said I'm eating, that's funny. It is dinner time, to be fair. We're going to be going through reset and recomp, and also just talking about body recomposition on a whole and kind of debunking three of the biggest blockers around body recomp in general, and where I felt like I was stuck for, it'll have literally been 6 or 7 years. So we're just going to go through everything, and I just want you to leave super clear after this call. And yeah, nice to see notepads at the ready. So I'm just going to share my screen. Hi Linny as well, thanks for coming on video. It's so nice to actually see your faces, like I can actually see. I'm still just admitting a few girlies in. So I'm going to share my screen. Perfect. Can we all see? Wait, now I can't see you guys. Yeah, perfect. Okay, right, we're live. And I would just love you to say hi, first of all, as well, and where you're actually joining from. I feel like we're mainly in the UK for the most of us. Hang on. Yeah, perfect. So, with notepad and pen, hang on. That's not helpful. And yeah, you can all see that. So before we start, I just want you to say as well, this is an hour, it's free, and we're gonna get straight into it. I wanna keep it quite to the point, as in no kind of fluff, and just also go through the stuff that like truly did keep me stuck, rather than just go around the actual hedges with things. So we're going to be covering the 3 real blockers, which are around your training, nutrition, and then the one that literally no one really addresses or talks about. And then we're going to find out which one is yours, and it's usually not the one that you actually think it is, and what I would do first, in what exact order, and if I was starting again from scratch, where I would start from. And then also at the end, I want to answer as many of your questions, and I'll answer as many as I can. So if you're new to my YouTube or Instagram, I'm Olivia. I coach women through my Flowing Club community, and I have got PCOS. I've spent the past few years doing some crazy fitness challenges. I competed in bodybuilding. I'm a qualified personal trainer and coach. I have done a marathon, an ultra marathon, and I love to do just crazy challenges and kind of use my own body as a bit of a human experiment at times. And everything I'm telling you tonight is the stuff I wish someone had sat me down and explained years ago. It would have definitely saved me a lot of time and a lot of just unnecessary struggle. So that is me. Let's get into what you're actually here for. So you've no doubt already have been overloaded with information on body recomposition, and that process itself is our muscle to fat ratio. And it feels like it can be one of those things that you either need to be in a phase where you're doing fat loss or muscle gain, and you feel like, oh, I don't want to do like a massive cut, but I don't want to bulk forever. Or it could just be that you have literally been trying to be in a diet for the longest time, or try and eat 1,400 calories and kind of feel like you're looking at other people who look defined, toned, or like seem to live a full life, but you feel like you're constantly having to think about food. And I think a lot of advice online treats training, nutrition, and hormones as 3 separate problems, but they are literally one system. Like if you fix one and ignore the other 2, you just end up, it all falls apart like every single time. And I wanted to also ask, have you found like you struggle in one specific area, would you say? Like if you could pop in the chat, if there's one thing, is it your nutrition? Is it the workout side? Is it motivation? I'd love to hear which one is your kind of biggest struggle at the minute. Lucy, what would you say yours is? Does it come up in there? Nutrition, okay. Yeah, I can see a few. Balanced nutrition and wine, I love that, so. Okay, right, nutrition's the big one. That's good to know. So I wanted to show you this. So this is one of my favorite, like I could talk about this all day long because we all get fixated on a scale weight. And why is it like, it's always a scale weight that or like a certain weight that we weighed when we were like 18 years old that you can sort of think about forever, when we don't sort of consider that over time, like when you are consistently training in the gym, even if you've not been that strategic with it, you still are putting on muscle. And I love this example because I was lighter on this left photo, but I didn't have like as much muscle and I wasn't as visibly lean. With this, I hope it can just show you that it's not always about chasing that lowest number on the scale, and the minute that you can mentally make that switch is when everything gets better. Like you start viewing nutrition differently, and then your training changes and your body just becomes like a second part of that, as in you start to notice like visual differences and it feels a lot more effortless. And this isn't just what's worked for me. I wanted to show you Diana. So Diana's on the left. So she's a kg heavier on this right picture, for example. Her glutes have lifted. She's got more muscle definition. She's eating more than what she was on the left. And I was just tweaking and changing her nutrition and also working on her actual habits. And then Danielle on the left example, again, like it's another example. She's the exact same weight on both, but that's just by changing. It was mainly her actual training, so like her tweaking her training intensity, so training with a structured program. I like to use visual stuff because I'm also a visual person, so it's nice to see. And then the 3 things that make a successful recomp. So no doubt now you could be training in a way that's basically working against your body. So you could be, say, going to the gym quite consistently 2 to 4 times a week, but you're just going through the motions, like you're just thinking, oh yeah, I'm showing up, as in, that's the whole point. You're thinking, at least I'm getting to the gym, that's the main thing. But if every single session is just with that mentality, we're not really going to get much out of it. Like you could have trained for 6 months quite consistently, but not really made any progress. So that could be one thing. And then in nutrition is you're coming from that restrictive mentality, feeling like you constantly, like it's so exhausting, feeling like you have to constantly watch what you eat, or if you eat a little bit too much, you feel like you put on weight quite quickly, or you're just too inconsistent and constantly just in that cycle of all or nothing, and never really letting that recomp process like settle in or trust the actual process. And then hormones and mindset. This is one that, like I say, gets overlooked. Like if you're having irregular cycles, as in it's not even about not having, say, a menstrual cycle, but if your period is late, as in it's not, like it's 35 days and beyond, like that is your body like sending signs and signals that there's an imbalance. And our period is the biggest indicator of being healthy, and it's one of the biggest warning signals that something can be off. And most women only ever work on one of these things, and they really are tying together. So with the training side, like this is the biggest blocker. It could be that you're someone who thinks, right, when I'm focused, as in when you're going all in with your training, you're doing possibly 2 sessions a day, and you could be just chasing how hard a session feels rather than whether you're progressing. So we hear the term, obviously, progressive overload. Now that doesn't mean that we need to be lifting like 200 kg on a hip thrust each week to be progressing. Like that's unrealistic. It can literally be increasing the weight by a kg, for example, or just improving our actual form. Or if there's an exercise that you don't feel like, say if you do a hip thrust and you're like, oh, I never really feel that in my actual glutes, it could be actually addressing that and thinking, right, where is my weight? Is my weight in my, say, toes? Is it in my heels? Just making small tweaks like that can go a long way, and being more intentional with your training. Another part of that could be that you are changing your program every few weeks. I always take, like all my clients that I've worked with and myself, I will do the exact same program for a minimum of 8 weeks. So that is the same sessions week in, week out. Like a big blocker for me was I was changing my workouts like every single week, and there was no actual progressive overload. So say if one week you do a back squat, the next week you're doing a hip thrust, like you're never really going to see that weight increase or even feel like fulfilled in your actual sessions. Like if you are someone who doesn't really enjoy the gym, it could just be that you're not working with an actual program. So the fix of that is to pick a program. It doesn't need to be like, we don't need to pick one, say, genre. Like we can still have a HIIT session a week or like a high rock session or a Pilates in there, but predominantly having like a base, so a strength base that is a proper hypertrophy training program, not just following, say, a random Instagram workout and then wondering why we're not really getting anywhere, and doing that for 8 weeks before you judge anything. That's like the biggest switch that you will see for sure. And you've no doubt possibly tried training hard before, but hard isn't the same as effective. Like we've all had them seasons where we've gone all in with like the Barry's boot camps for a few weeks, but then you're finding like you're at your desk at work absolutely shattered, exhausted and very overly hungry, and that style of training like usually doesn't suit many people. So it's just about looking at things from a different kind of angle. And then we've got the next one, which is our nutrition. So we'll go into this. So what is usually going wrong is under-eating for years and wondering why nothing really builds. Like if you have been attempting to kind of eat, you know, circa 1,400 to sort of 1,500 calories for years, but you're expecting yourself to be able to do 10k steps a day, to do a 9 to 5 job, like to have energy for friends, family, and then also squeeze a gym session in on like 1,400 calories, like where are we getting that energy from? Like it's not realistic. And then another part of that is protein is most likely far lower than what you think it is. And there's an analogy. So if we're thinking in terms of money, like calories are your budget. And for a body recomp, just I can't work out where that's coming from, guys. Is it clear? There we go. Yeah, the analogy part. So calories are your budget and then protein is your builder, and it's like building a house with our nutrition. So if we think about, if we're trying to say lose overall body fat, that process of body recomp, so losing body fat whilst putting on muscle simultaneously, like protein is the builder, and when we're not eating enough protein, it's like pulling away the base of the house that we're trying to build. So it's just, that's usually why we end up in that kind of like, when we just look soft, like we might be losing weight but we're not building any muscle, or not, like nothing's changing on that side. And with our nutrition as well, it is literally like trying to drive across the country with your fuel light flashing. So if you're getting signs of like fatigue during the day and you're not really being able to push, like you feel weak in your actual sessions, it's no doubt because that fuel light is flashing, and eventually you stop moving, which is why we have the plateaus and stagnations like with our actual training. So the main fix of this is, of course, like you cannot build muscle or shape you want if you are in a permanent deficit, but it doesn't mean that we need to enter like big bulks. It could literally just be that you are around maintenance, and we'll get into like your unique advice, as in it's obviously totally different because we're all at different starting points. But in terms of, say, our actual macros, so the bottom line is for a successful recomp, you need to be eating close to maintenance. So that is where you're not in a deficit, but you're not in a bulk. And say if you're someone who you feel like you'd like more glutes, or like you want to put on muscle in certain areas, but you're not necessarily, so you feel like you've still got some body fat, that could be that you're roughly 10 to 15% below your maintenance. So it's enough of a gap that your body can actually let go of the fat whilst it's still fueled to build muscle. So we play with variables like our protein intakes and making sure that that protein is high enough, and then also with our training and then keeping in cardio. So that's why we're not putting on like excess body fat. Whereas if you're someone who, say, you're already lean, as in you want to mainly build shape and muscle, we can then go roughly sort of 10 to 15% above your maintenance. So there's two kind of categories, and we'll all be, like I say, at different starting points, but the main point of this, we're not in a drastic deficit. So the reason like we get more from, as in we actually can put on the muscle, is because we've got more fuel to actually build with, rather than being in a bigger deficit where we're predominantly losing fat, not putting on, say, any muscle. And if you're sort of thinking, what on earth is maintenance? And you're thinking, like, how do I work out my unique maintenance? This is what I take you through properly, like step by step. So working out what even is your current maintenance calories, like where you're currently at, and then getting your unique number. And it's not like one set number with, say, if you're going 10 to 15% below your maintenance, because it's something that needs tweaking over time. So say if you're doing that over an 8-week period, we want to monitor it with your actual, say, scale weight and how you're feeling week on week, like what you're looking like visually, as in your clothes, how you're feeling energy wise. So usually we'll run these macros for the first week or two, and then we tweak from there. Like, it's not just one set number, say, like it is a process. So I did want to mention that. And then we've got our hormones and mindset. So this is one of my favourite parts of body recomposition. So we can't expect our body, especially as women, to perform just identically the same every single day, especially with our cycles. So one of my favourite parts of when we do, say, a weekly check-in with the Flowness girls, we look at where you actually are in your cycle. So you start to see patterns and trends with your actual training. So like the week before your actual periods due, for example, like all our training, energy and mood tends to drop so much. And rather than dreading that week before your period, like we can treat that as information. So we're not seeing it as like a failure, because it's usually that week that nutrition goes totally out the window, doesn't it? Like you're in and out of that fridge into the chocolate cupboard, and then you're like, oh my God, I've just made I've been feeling really good, my hunger's been manageable, and then this week's come along and like everything's gone out the window. So being able to actually track where you are in your cycle is a game changer. Another part of this as well is addressing our nervous system regulation. So this is like a buzzword, isn't it? On social media we see left, right, centre, and I always think, like, why don't people actually explain like what even is that? And it's basically just making sure our cortisol is not through the roof from under eating and overtraining. And one thing that I've seen over the years, like the most common thing is, say someone will come to me and be like, oh, I'm really struggling with like my energy's not great and I'm training in the gym, but I just I don't have energy for anything. And we'll look at, say, their step count, and that's something that people don't realise. Like if you're doing, say, a 15k step goal or anything like around that mark, like that is still adding stress onto your body, even though you're just walking. Like it's still a lot. And what can be happening a lot is our body's in that constant fight or flight response. So we can down-regulate ourselves by practices like our meditation, journaling, and I feel like it's becoming less woo-woo with those things, but there's so much science behind how much that does calm our minds down, and that's obviously like so connected to our hormones. And if you have got PCOS or irregular cycles like me, undereating and overtraining is often making that so much worse. So proper fueling and the right training intensity is just one of the most underrated tools for being able to balance out your hormones and just improve that cycle regularity, not just body composition, say. So which one would you say, do you think yours has changed, or are we still predominantly, would you say, is it the nutrition? Just go on the chat.
I think it would still be the nutrition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you got any PCOS girls, like hormone struggles? Is that in here? Or mainly nutrition? Okay. Heben, what would you say yours is? Can you unmute on there? Nutrition, and as someone with mental health mindset, probably not far behind. Lisa, perimenopause, fatigue, and mood swings. Yeah. Okay, guys, that's good to know. So I wanted to take you through, if I was starting again, like this is the order that I would go in. So definitely this is this is what I would say like my unique order would be, and I feel like people do it in totally a different order, to put it bluntly, but mine would be walking to begin with. So if I was just coming back to basics, so that is the daily unglamorous thing. So like if I was to fix one thing to begin with, it would be to make sure I was getting outside, like getting in nature, and just finding like a calm, you know, that feeling when you're on just like an outdoor walk daily, it doesn't matter what time of day it is, literally 5 minutes just to begin with. If it's on your lunch break or if it's first thing in the morning, like you're up and out, it just makes the biggest impact on your mind. I know, Lisa, you're always outside actually thinking about it. Second one would be protein. So this, for a successful body recomp, this is the fundamental part. So this is higher than you think. Like it's easy to be like, oh yeah, I definitely get my protein. Like I have a little bit of chicken breast, say, but it could be that you're having like half a chicken breast a day, which again, like that is not enough. We need to be getting enough protein, and that again is by calculating your unique macros. Third one would be, before you even think about the gym, is looking at your sleep, because one thing I see all the time with people like, oh, what supplements do I need to take, or do I need to take ashwagandha, or what do I need to change first, when you could be someone who's like, you're possibly averaging 5 hours sleep a night, which is going to have way more of an impact than any supplement, any way of your training program. So before you touch anything, getting that sleep under wraps, like getting an evening routine and a regular wake schedule. Then moving on to lifting. So this would be starting with just 3 sessions to begin with, done properly, and that will always be over, you know, like 6, say if you were trying to hit 6 gym sessions a week, like if you did 3 effective gym sessions, like following an actual program, like I can guarantee you will get much better results. And then off the back of that is progressive overload. So that is the actual mechanism, and everything else supports that. So with progressive overload, it can literally just be increasing that weight 0.5 kg over even 2 weeks, or just being able to control the reps. So thinking about your actual tempo of a certain movement and moving with intention. So knowing exactly what you're working and having strategic days for different muscle groups. And then the 6th one, which I feel like you'd think would be first, is your calories. So that is adjusted to your unique goal. Like there's no point following, say, what I'm eating or what Sandra's eating, because we all have completely different baselines and different starting points. Like you could have a little bit of body fat, like more body fat that you'd like to lose. You could be more on the leaner side, like what we were saying. Supplements should always come last, because they are just to supplement everything else. And then obviously knowing all this and doing it is 2 very different things. So I wanted to show you what I've built. So this is Reset and Recomp, which is the 8-week training plan and nutrition plan. So I just wanted to talk you through what we've got. So the actual training side is 4 strength sessions. So that is in the gym. There is also a home program, which is just dumbbell only, and you also have the bands. Lisa, who's one of the flowy girls, if she's going on holiday, she'll do the home program, and it's the same like movement patterns and works just as like effective for those weeks. And we have 2 cardio sessions in this Recomp plan. So one is a zone 2 cardio session. So that is basically where we've got a lower heart rate intensity. So say like a steady state. So say if you're doing the bike or Stairmaster. And then the other is a higher intensity cardio session. So that is getting your heart rate into that fat burning zone. And each week is building on from the last. So you will see yourself progress in the gym sessions. They are glute focused. So it's sculpting your physique. We're mainly focusing on the hour, like an hourglass type shape. And then we're also having a daily step goal. And then the nutrition side is built to fuel a recomp properly. So there's no guessing, as in you will be clear on your unique macros, and again they'll be tweaked every like couple of weeks, as in it's biofeedback, so based on how you feel. And with the weekly check-ins, this is really easy to identify like what needs changing. It's not like a restrictive diet or a meal plan, because they're just unrealistic. There's no point if you're not learning about nutrition. Like, how is that going to be something that you can maintain, say, beyond an 8-week program? Like, that's not the goal. And the goal as well isn't to be tracking your calories and macros forever, because that's not realistic. Like, we want to be learning, growing, so that you can get to a point where you can eat more intuitively. And that's one thing that I see like talked about a lot online. Like, intuitive eating is amazing, like an amazing point to get to, but if you don't have the knowledge or confidence around your nutrition and don't understand fully, like, how much protein do I need to be getting, where do I need to be getting that from, like, it's just hard to get to that point. So that is your calories and protein, so personalised guidance, so you know your own numbers, not a generic target. And then hormones, mindset and energy. So this part is through our practices. So we've got like a 10-minute guided meditation that we do daily. That's part of my Flowness Club community, and I share those that I do. And then we have the daily acts of Flowness. So these are basically like journal prompts. I'll show you in a second like what that actually looks like. So this is inside the actual community. So we've got an example of Justina's weekly check-in. So she's just done an 8-week fat loss block on the left. This is what a weekly check-in looks like. It's a total safe space, as in this is where you show up each week and you can, you know, see your progress in real time. Then we've got Callie's example of the daily journal prompts. It's a little bit, it's small in here, isn't it, guys? You have to be like squinting. But this is just an example of like one of her days. So this is where we all chat like day to day. So you're not, you know, you're not in this on your own. Like, this is the heart of this community and like what makes this super special, because you've got somewhere to be accountable. Like, it's not theoretical. Then we've got the actual app. So this is just a little snippet. There's so much in the app. So the actual tracking features, so being able to track your reps and weights each session. And then we also have the guide. So there's a video guide that I take you through, so how to actually get set up your macros, for example, and then you have access to message me at any time if you want things overlooking. And then what actually like makes this very different is because you don't become a different version of yourself because your environment has changed. For example, like, so many times we can think, oh, I need to change the gym to like make a change within me, but it's more you become bigger than your environment first. So for example, when we are trying to go after a new physique goal, or like we want to change, obviously we're going to be in our current body for a good month before we start to see big visual change, but it's about pushing through that discomfort and knowing like we can't hate ourselves into a version of ourselves that we love. And most of us wait to feel different before we actually start acting different. But if you're still reacting from just previous circumstances and old identities, triggers that you want to move away from and grow from, like, nothing will shift because you're still recreating that same pattern, but there's no change. So there's lots of things that we can do. It can just be like, if there's certain foods that you find really triggering, can just be not buying those in. Like, if you know that you don't want to eat a bar of chocolate at night, it can just start from not buying that bar of chocolate. But it's about being the change that we want to become before it's externally reflected. Then we've got different ways of joining. There's 2 ways. We've got the £79 one for the full 8 weeks, or we've got the subscription, which is cancel anytime. So both membership, well, it's the same membership, just 2 different price. Like, one's a one-time purchase and the other is a subscription. The doors close on Sunday the 16th, but both include absolutely everything. So you've got access to the full community, all the recipes, and also the actual app, which has all the tracking features, the programming, everything like that. This, don't get me wrong, this isn't for everyone, but this is for you if you feel like you've tried a lot of things that just haven't really stuck and you want a plan, not just like another random workout program that you end up buying and then maybe looking at once but not following through with. But it's definitely not for you if you want a quick fix with no consistency, or if you're looking for something quick and extreme, or if you are not willing to say give it for the full 8 weeks. So I'll pop the link in the chat for joining and these options. Have you guys got any questions? I'll come off this. You can pop them in the actual chat or just reading some of these. Lisa said, I'm there after a few programs with Flonus. Yeah, Lisa's been with me for, it'll be a year now. Hello, my dear.
Hi.
I didn't know if you were going to make it, actually.
Yeah, I popped on because I was eating my dinner, but yeah, I've been with Florence Club about a year and a half now, actually. So I've done quite a few programs. I fell off sort of the last one because I had so much going on, but I do highly recommend Florence for the support, the community, and the programs are really easy, and it's not the kind of place where everybody's judgmental. Everyone's at their own paces, and it's a really good support. So I just want to kind of big Olivia up for that, for creating a really good community. So yeah, you won't regret it if you do join.
Oh, Lisa, that's so kind. But it's because of you, like it is what it is. Like I say, like the community is the main part. Lucy's part of it. You've been with me for a while as well now.
Yeah.
And it's you girlies that make it, so I've got to say that for sure.
All
right. Lucy said, I'm training for high rocks. Would this be okay to do alongside high rocks? Yes, but we'll tweak it to you, Lucy. So how many high rock sessions have you got at the minute? I imagine it'll be about 3. One a week, high rock specific. Yeah, perfect. That's absolutely fine. So that could be in exchange for that HIIT session that we've got, so the higher intensity cardio, and then we'll just see how you go. We might pull out one of the strength sessions the closer you get to that, especially if you've got running. Even if we're doing 3 strength and then the rest high rocks and running, it'll go really nicely. Oh, I'm excited for you. You're going to smash that. That's amazing. Any other questions? Leanie, have you got any questions? No? Oh, good. Oh, perfect, guys. I think that's everything. I will pop a link here. Hang on, where is it? I'll just pop it in here. But that is everything that I wanted to go through. I hope this has been useful. I'll just pop the links, pretty straightforward. Flonus.club. Thank you for bearing with me, by the way, guys. Like my voice it's not a full projection. I'm having to speak louder than I can at the minute, which is annoying, but it's fine. Thank you so much for joining me as well, guys. Really appreciate you, and I really hope to see you inside the community as well. I'll also pop this in the replay so you can go back on anything. Kirsty said, when does it start? I'm on holiday from the 21st, 1 week with no access to the gym or self-catering. May have to start on the next one. It starts on Monday, but you can message me direct and I can give you some advice for that week away, because it's only a week, so it's super manageable. But yeah, thank you so much, my loves, and enjoy the rest of your evening.